what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got an email. Someone sent me this article that I'm not going to link to the article or point to the article, but I want to talk about the concept from this because I want to distract you from this. But the concept I think is really valuable here. Which there's this article about Steve Wozniak that was basically saying, you know, and they gave me a pull quote from the article which says, if you focus on building value, the money will follow. And I thought this was a really interesting concept and just something that I definitely relate to. I've talked about this in various forums where I've talked about choosing responsibility over money and choosing, you know, power over money. Essentially, that when you have responsibility or you have power, that you'll have money. You can trade that is exchangeable for money. There's a lot of these things that are exchangeable for money. And one of the things, like as someone who creates content, who creates things, who's trying to market themselves and build a brand for themselves on the web, one of the things that you can do is create value for other people. And this is something that's really, really interesting. Like I said, it's really near and dear to my heart because I firmly believe that you can always trade this value that you're creating for money at a later time. So it's important to build up the value first. And I'll give you some examples, right? I have a course on how to market yourself as a software developer. And in that course, you can check out that course if you haven't already. I talk about this idea that one of my philosophies behind marketing, what I think is the most effective way to market, is to give away 90% of what you produce for free and charge for 10% of it. And if you watch my videos, if you look at my content, I mean, I produce a ton of content every week, right? Through Simple Programmer, I've got probably like 4 blog posts going out every single week on the blog. I've got 17 videos that come out on this channel every week, 7 podcast episodes of the Simple Programmer podcast, including a video podcast version of them. I've got an Entreprogrammers podcast that we produce weekly. I'm also involved in 4 other Entrepreneur groups that also produce a podcast weekly. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm creating for free, including whatever other value that I create. I'm usually creating other content during the week as well. And I do charge for some of it. Like I said, that course I pointed to at the beginning, the software developers, how to market yourself as a software developer career guide, I charge money for it, right? But 90% of what I'm producing is free. You know, I've got courses out there. You can check out my courses on Simple Programmer, looking at the products and whatnot if you want to buy something from me. But the reason why you might want to buy something from me is because I'm creating a lot of free value, right? And here's the other thing to think about here, which is this, just from a practical standpoint, if I am creating a lot of value, I'm getting a lot of people following me, I'm getting a lot of people that are signing up for my email list, I'm getting a lot of people that are subscribing to my YouTube channel, at any given time, even if I didn't have any products that I was selling, I was just totally making giving away free shit, which that's what YouTube essentially is, then I could, at some point, decide to make a $5 ebook and I could sell that and I could make money. Or I could make a membership site. Or I could build some software, or build a tool because I've built that audience. So this is really like, there's so many ways, there's this deeper principle behind the thing, and that's what this focuses on. I think this idea, that's why I really like this article, was this idea, this deeper idea of creating value and the money will follow. If you focus on building value, right, that's the thing. I've talked about this in various aspects. When I talk about becoming an entrepreneur and how to be successful as an entrepreneur, how to make money, one of the things I say is build an audience first, because an audience is valuable. If you have an audience, right, then you have a market, then you can sell to them and they're going to buy because they're buying you. They're not really buying your product. I mean, you're producing a good product, hopefully, but they're buying you. They're buying into you. And you don't even have to sell it. It's very easy. People will come and they will want to buy because they want to support you, because they want more of you, right? Because they want more content, more value from you because they've already gotten a lot of free value from you, right? So that's how I operate, right? I mean, I totally buy people's stuff that I follow because I get so much value from them, right? One figure I'll mention is someone like Grant Cardone. Really got a lot of value out of a lot of his free stuff. Started buying his books, still get a lot of value out of that stuff. And I'll continue to support whatever he's doing because he provides me so much value. So what I would like to do, though, is to turn this around a little bit and to just think about in your life in general, because this is one of those things which I call a master principle. It's a higher level principle that permeates everything. It's not just business. It operates at the highest level. You'll see this throughout the universe, right? Just this idea that if you create value, then money will follow. And I don't know how we could phrase that, but if you create value, essentially results will follow, or the good stuff will follow. Essentially, it means work on and focus on creating value, right? And that's sometimes people throw that around. They're like, oh, create value for people, create value. And they don't really, I don't even know what they're fucking talking about when they say that, but I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about when I say that. What I mean is that if you focus on doing the right thing, if you focus on making stuff, if you focus on creating things that help people in some way, right? And actually give them value. And again, you could go back to, it popped in my head immediately, like the Cain and Abel story from the Bible, where Cain had given something that he thought was valuable, but it wasn't. What Abel's sacrifice was valuable because that's what God said that he wanted. And Cain thought this thing was valuable, and so he put a lot of work into it, and he thought it was a sacrifice, but it wasn't the right thing. And so that's not to draw into a biblical reference here, but I thought it does suit it really well, because here's the thing, is that you don't get to decide what people find valuable. Okay, when you create value for people, when you create value into the world, it's valuable because it has value to the other person, or it's not because you said that it's valuable. So that's another thing, is like a lot of people complain, they say, I did all the things, I checked all the boxes, I paid all the dues, I don't understand, give me my thing, give me my reward. And the answer is no, it doesn't work that way. You have to actually go out and create value that is defined by other people, not by yourself. And some of the stuff that you think is most valuable, some of the stuff that you put the most blood, sweat, and tears into, the world is going to reject. They're not going to find it valuable. And sorry, that's just how it is. So you've got to figure out how to create value that actually is value that's interpreted by other people. But if you do that, right, and this is just a formula for success in life, if you do that in your career, if you do that in your job, right? If you do that in your relationships, if you do that in your business, if you want to start a business, if you do that, whatever you're trying to do in marketing yourself and building your brand and all of those things, if you create the value that's defined as value in other people's eyes, not just your own eyes, then the money's going to come, right? I mean, if you build a huge platform, you're going to make money off of it. You're going to be able to. You just have to. So many people are focused on the money part of it, right? And that's just such the wrong focus. I've got a book that, it should be out now, actually, by the time this video comes out, called The Complete Software Developer's Career Guide. And one of the things I advise in that book, by the way, you should check out that book if you haven't already. It gives you all the details on a whole bunch of career stuff that I can't cover here in a short video. But one of the things I talk about is like getting a raise or getting a promotion. And I talk about this idea of gaining responsibility, of taking on responsibility. And ultimately, if you think about it, if you're at your job and you keep on taking on more and more responsibility, and you keep on doing more stuff, and you become more valuable, eventually the money's going to come. So many people are working the other way around, and they're trying to get the promotion, or they're trying to get the job, they're trying to get the more money, right? And that's backwards. That's harder to do. If you just say, man, how can I grow at this position by getting as much responsibility as possible, getting as much as I can do as possible, be given the ability to create as much value as possible for this company, right? That's the ticket. That's what's going to get you the promotion for sure. And it may not even just get you a promotion. It may get you someone wanting to go and start a side business with you, or it may get you the owner of the company wanting to like bring you on as a partner because you're so valuable to the company. Like, there's a lot of possible things that can happen if you're doing that. And this is something that, like I said, I've benefited from immensely in my life. I started my blog, it was totally free, with Simple Programmer. That's how it started out. You can check out my career story if you want to follow the details of. And I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mishaps, but I've always focused on creating value for people. And hopefully, if you've stuck around, if you've been subscribing to this channel, hopefully I'm creating value for you, and you can see how that is the focus. If I just made this channel focused on creating money, right? If I just said every single video was all about buying something from me, and you had to pay for the videos, right? And there was no way you could watch these videos. If I just said I'm going to create all this content and you have to pay for all of it, how much success would I have? Probably none, right? The thing is, you've got to start with the value in mind, and then the rest follows. So there you go. That's just something to think about for today. If you like this video, click that subscribe button, and let me know that I created some value for you today. And make sure you click the bell so you don't miss any of the value that I'm giving out. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.